this video I'm going to cover the second half of the course review, and you can use this to review for the final exam, but this is also an in-class assignment. So just quickly I will go through what you need to know for that. If I were to ask you what command can get you from here to here the easiest, your answer should be scale. This object is actually both of these are squares. Okay, the side length on this is 2.5. Side length on this is 5. So this is scaled by a factor of 2. The scale command is on the modify panel in the home tab, or the command alias for the scale command is SC. You can type in SC, highlight the object, and then enter. Select the base point, and then specify the scale factor. So if I wanted to scale up by basically double the size, I would type 2 and then enter, and there you have it. If you wanted to go half size, you could enter SC, enter, and then select the base point, and your scale factor will be 0.5. That would divide the original size by 2. So the distance here, instead of being 2.5, this will be 1.25. Okay. So moving along, if I were to ask you how to most easily go from this shape to this shape, your answer should be chamfer. That's C-H-A-M-F-E-R. And there are many options under the chamfer command, but most often you'll use distance or angle. So if you enter angle, if you know the angle is 45 degrees, with the length of 1, you can type 1 for the length of the first line and then 45 for the first angle. We'll use this more in the future, but you click on one line and then the other, and it puts a chamfer between the two lines, just like you see here. Okay, I'm flipping through my sheet here. I haven't forgot. In AutoCAD, a connected sequence of line or arc segments that are treated as one object is called a polyline. Okay, now we've used polylines line segments. In other words, if you enter the polyline command, PL, enter, or is here on the draw panel, you can enter multiple lines, and that is one polyline as seen in the properties palette. You can also enter polyline and draw a line, and then you see that you have the arc option. So I can switch to an arc in the middle of the polyline if I need to, and then I can continue with a line by just clicking on the line option. And still, this is all considered one polyline. The command alias that allows you to easily create a 2D planar smooth irregular curve is a spline. Now we've used it to create a spiral of Archimedes and several other objects throughout the course, but sometimes you just have just I hate to say shapeless, but not a shape that's constructive of a lot of common geometric entities. For example, if I were to just start picking random points here, like if I were wanting to draw a pond or something like that, I could use a spline to do just that. Okay, and this is a let me erase that. Okay, so the name of a style of set of letters, numbers, and symbols is a font. You remember when we created our title block that we created a text style, and we chose a font. Okay, and this is a whole family. There's a lot of different font styles, and each font has its own set of letters, numbers, and symbols, and they look different. Okay, and that's the purpose of using the different fonts. So an area of the drawing that contains information such as company information, drawing name, drawing scale, drafter's name, etc. is your title block. Okay, this area here. The distance around the edge of a two-dimensional shape is the perimeter. Okay, if you were to add the length of each side of the square, for example, that would be the perimeter of the object. Since each side of the square is 5, the perimeter of the square is 20. So it's 5 times 4, and it doesn't have to be a square, of course. It can be any shape, but the distance around the edge of a two-dimensional shape is the perimeter. The distance around the edge of a circle is also a perimeter, but the more correct term is circumference. In fact, if you create a circle in AutoCAD and look under the properties palette, you will be given the circumference of a circle, and that's the distance around the outside edge. Visible lines are drawn on the visible layer, okay? And when you print the visible layer that we created with our title block, that line type was given a default line weight of 0.6 millimeters, and it's used to show the unhidden edges of an object. If you have hidden edges that you need to show, you use the hidden layer, okay? And that is a, let me make that my current layer, and that is a series of dashes, okay? And they're end to end to end, okay? And center lines are drawn on the center layer. And oh, by the way, the length of the dashes for a hidden line, they have an approximate, or the line weight of the hidden line is approximately 0.012 inches. But for a center line, if I draw one of those, you can see that it's characterized by a long line, a short line, and then a long line, whereas the hidden line were just short dashes. They were all the same length. Okay. So if I were to ask you what AutoCAD command creates evenly spaced points along the length or perimeter of an object, that is divide. If I were to have a line here, let's just say it's 73 units long, and let me actually put that in my visible layer, and I were to use the divide command and enter the number of segments as 15, for example. If I have DDP type turned on, you can see my points. The distance between each point is going to be 4.8667. It evenly divided the object. Remember, divide doesn't actually physically change the object. It just sets up points along the object. Now, one that is used less frequently is called the measure command. Similar idea to the divide command, but remember this length of this line is 73, and I'll enter the measure command, select the object to measure, and if I specify a length of segment of 5, it will divide this object not evenly, but at an interval of 5. Okay, so the distance between the end point and the first point is 5 points, 5 units. Okay, until the end, well, actually this one's going to be 3. Remember, my line length is 73, so it goes, that's going to be 5, and it's 5 all the way up until the last one, which is 3. Okay, that's your remainder, basically. All right. So I use that less frequently, but there are uses for the measure command. If I were to ask you what command you use to create a single line of text, the answer should be DT. Remember that single line text command? Where you specify a text height, rotation, and then you just type the text. If I were to ask you how to enter a scale in the drawing, if I were to ask you how to enter quarter scale, for example, you could enter it as 1/4, 1:4, or less frequently 0.25. Okay. If I were to ask you to enter double scale, you can enter 2:1. Just for an example. So just several different examples of how to enter the scale on the title block. Now, if you were to bisect an angle between two lines, it is true that you create two equal angles through the use or creation of a bisector line. Okay, bisect means two, and you're cutting. SECT, the sect means you're cutting. Okay, so you're cutting into two halves. An equilateral triangle is a triangle that's formed like this. I don't know if you remember this from the very beginning of a semester, but that's the quick construction. I know I'm in the wrong layer because I'm running out of video time here. But that's an equilateral triangle, equal angles, equal sides. And I'm just going to have to pick up in a second video.